What is up, guys? This is your boy, the Four Train Express, and we have a few topics that we're going to be discussing today. What's up, Jason?
What's going on, man?
Not a whole lot. Not a whole lot. You?
I'm putting two girls down for a nap now. I still have another one just getting up from a nap. So my wife just got back home, and so it's a little crazy.
Yeah, I bet.
Nothing unusual in this house.
Yeah, I know how it is with two kids of my own. One baby girl who's like that, so I know that.
Yeah, bro. I got a 4, a 2, and an 8-week.
Yeah, Madison's your youngest, right?
Yep. 8 weeks, man. Yeah, she just woke up from her nap, so my wife just got home. She's got to feed her and blah, blah, blah. You probably hear it happening in the background, so.
Yeah. So I know I sent you. So for those of you who are in here and who don't know, I had a very special guest on yesterday. It was former Yankees catcher Jim Leyritz and Hector of Yankees Morning Brew. Great channel. Please subscribe to his channel. Hit that bell icon for all updates from him. He does a great job. He's on every morning from 11 to 12:30. Please show him some love and support, and show my special guest today, Jason, some love and support if you haven't already. River Ave 161. Also great content. Puts out content every day. You won't miss a thing. So I don't know if you guys saw. I had Jim Leyritz on the other yesterday, and that was a really interesting interview. Jason, what is your take on it? I mean, what did you think of the whole thing?
I think it's interesting. You guys actually did pretty well too. Like with technical difficulties on his end, you guys managed the video quite well. And that's not always an easy thing to do when you have a special guest like that. So being able to hold it down the way you did was pretty cool. And it's just nice to get some insight from a former player or even current player to kind of complement what you already bring to the table. So I found it pretty interesting. And I haven't had any former players or current players on my channel yet. So kudos to you for doing that and making it happen. So
yeah,
good stuff, man.
Yeah, I personally found one of the stories that he talked about really interesting, which was the whole allure of the old Yankee Stadium, where he's like, when there's that whisper in the wind coming through, and it's like, someone is there. Because as fans, we don't think of it like that. We think of it more or less of, oh, it's just a windy day. It's not anything big, but to them, it's something different. So to see it from a player's perspective is pretty cool.
And I got to tell you, when I had season tickets with my mom, we had it to the old stadium and house the roof built. And it's the cavernous and the sound is completely different. The way the stadium is broken out now, everything kind of breaks out this way, goes out that way. The way that it was in the last stadium, it goes straight up. Each layer, or each level is on top of the other level, so the sound stays closer.
Yeah.
It was twice as loud at the old stadium. It was crazy at the old stadium.
It was.
Yeah, man. It was, and being at some of these crazy games, like I've been in games where guys were pissed off and just ripped chairs out of the ground. And we were at the very last game when they were going to knock the stadium down. And people came with chisels and hammers. They were hammering pieces of the stadium so they could take chunks home with them.
That's awesome.
It was crazy.
I didn't get a chance to do that, but that's really cool.
Absolutely nuts, man. Absolutely nuts. Really cool.
Just to get his side of everything was just so such a cool thing, because you saw the insight of what he saw.
Yeah, and it's a different type of nostalgia too. I was actually at the World Series in 1999. It was a game 4 when they swept the Atlanta Braves, and he hit that home run. Game 4 of the World Series. So that was really, really cool to see. So being able to personalize with him is actually kind of nice. ask him a question of what he actually did is kind of cool.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget the home run he hit off Mark Wahlers in 1996.
That was a hanging slider.
Yeah, put the Yankees back in the game 4 to tie the series. I mean, it was. I'll never forget it, man. And I remember Joe Torre when they lost the first 2 games. Steinbrenner was like, "Dude, what are you gonna do?" And Torre told Steinbrenner, "We're gonna sweep them in Atlanta, and we're gonna come over here and win. We're gonna win at home on Saturday." And Steinbrenner thought he was nuts. That's exactly what they did.
Yeah.
Went for 3 in Atlanta, came home and won it on Saturday night.
It's crazy. And
I was at that game too, game 6.
really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
It was phenomenal. So,
but I think the most interesting thing he said about was his favorite memory was in that game 2 of the ALDS in '95 when they played Seattle in that 15-inning game that you thought was never going to end. I thought that was really interesting because I would have thought that the home run he hit off of Wohlers would have been more of like a standout favorite memory for him, but that was really interesting to hear.
It's interesting to see what you think is going to be a distinct memory for a player, and sometimes it's not, right?
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes you think, oh, the player could not possibly remember this, and they wind up talking about it. That's what's so fascinating about the sport. I mean, what you think is not what you think, and what you don't think is usually what it is. Like that's one of the things that fascinates me about baseball.
Oh, it is a fascinating sport, and things like that is just so cool.
Yeah, it's one of the, and there's nothing. To me, there's nothing like Yankee baseball, right? Nothing like being a Yankee fan. It's nothing like going to, nothing like winning in New York.
Yeah.
It's different than winning anywhere else.
But I got to say, that was a really fun interview, and I'm glad we got a chance to do that yesterday because my work schedule is going to get hectic and all weird and stuff. But I'm glad we got to do that yesterday with him, and I'm glad he was so open to coming on and doing it.
It's very hard that you find players that are that just willing to just hop on and speak with you and have a dialogue and just hanging out and stuff like that. So whenever you get an opportunity to do it, you have to take advantage of it. So,
and I thought that was an opportunity for me to take advantage of. So I said, you know what? I'm going to jump on this and let me see what I can get out of it.
Yeah, let it be like a springboard for more growth for you and more guests on your channel, and let the 4 train keep running, man.
Yeah.
You're one of the OGs of the 161 family, so we got to help the 4 train grow.
Yeah. But anyways, getting on to some of the topics that I had planned out for today was the Yankees week, the last week, and how not disheartening, but disappointing it's been with that 6-4 stretch out in California, losing 2 of 4 to Oakland, losing 2 of 4 to 2 of 3 to the Angels. Just how this team has, I don't know, it for some reason seems like they've fallen apart.
Too many doses of reality. I think we had a feel good after they won 5 straight. We're like, okay, these guys might be getting back on track, right? And all of a sudden, we play the 2 worst teams in baseball. And for some reason, the Yankees went from beating the hell out of the bad teams in the first half of the season to losing to them now.
Yeah.
So it's one of the kryptonites for the Yankees right now, the second half of the season. Where it's been away for that way a long time before. And I said it earlier. I mean, yesterday I went on a little bit of a rant yesterday on my channel.
I saw that.
And it was, they lost winnable games.
Mm-hmm. Games they would have won in the beginning.
Yeah, it's just the defense let them down several times. The offense let them down several times. If you're giving up 1 or 2 runs and you're still losing, then the offense is what's failing, right?
Mm-hmm.
Not the pitchers. And we talked about this repeatedly. Like 7 innings and 3 runs or 2 runs is a quality start, and the offense is designed to overcome 2 or 3 run leads, right? And the Yankees had no issue overcoming them in the first half of the season. They've been hurt. It's a different kind of metric now, different kind of dynamic. Mm-hmm. So that's one of the things they have to get back on the good side, right? Get back and just have a good groove again. You
got to find that happy medium. And Hector brought something up on his last show, Yankees Morning Brew, about Frankie Montas, and I was on the panel with him about that, and he showed a picture from when Frankie Montas was with Oakland to when he came to New York and his delivery, and there is a big difference. It's his leg. He used to keep his leg lower to the ground like a slide step almost, but now it's like he's taking that and turning it into a normal windup.
It's funny because I said that about a week ago on the channel too, that he has a release point problem. That the windup is different. It's causing him to, rather than releasing from over here or whatnot, releasing over here, right? And it's causing his pitches, his out pitches to become hittable, right?
He's overcompensating.
He's overcompensating. His splitter's getting hit when it usually doesn't get hit. So that's a mechanical thing that him and Matt Blake need to work on. Matt Blake needs to figure that out with him right now. And you don't really necessarily need to drastically change his windup or his delivery windup. If it was working, I wouldn't tinker with it too much. So I do think it was a release point problem. I still think it is because he has the stuff to get guys out. He does, but he's got to do it consistently, and we have to find the right ingredients for him to put guys away when you need to put guys away. You got to have the right pitches to put dudes away. So I do think mechanically there's some things to work on there.
Yeah, definitely.
He has the ability to be the number 2 here for the Yankees. I don't buy the whole his son great part 2. I don't buy it at all. People say that. So
I think what it is, he's got to get more squared up. Now, I said on that live stream that Hector did that it's almost a replica of a Sonny Gray 2.0, but I don't think it's a full replica just because I think it's a mechanical issue. And I think he's got to get more squared up because he's leaning too far to the first base side when he releases, which is why he's getting wild, which is why his pitches are going all over the place.
Yeah, but
that's not to say that that can't get fixed, but it's a matter of can Matt Blake tweak it enough to where it fixes it.
I still see the bulldog in him. With Sonny Gray, he looked completely mentally defeated. It was almost like a Zach Greinke thing, where once he was mentally gone, he was mentally gone. There's nothing you could do about it. Nothing. Montez, I don't see that because he's still coming after guys, even if he's giving up 2 runs, 3 runs, or 4 runs. So he's still coming after dudes. He's owning up. He's talking to people after the game. He's not having anxiety issues and all this stuff. So I personally think Montez is okay. Again, was it the ideal start? No. But again, look at the Padres right now. They brought in all those guys. They've had a terrible.
Yeah, look at Hader. Hader's crumbled.
1,000 ERA. It's ridiculous.
Yeah.
So it doesn't always work that way. And I think it's important to remind folks that it's not just no matter who you bring in. It's dynamic has to be there. The performance has to be there. And you just don't know when the ingredients are going to fit, which is why I exercise caution with Oswald Peraza and Oswaldo Cabrera. Like, there's a lot of folks treating him like he's the savior.
But he's not, though.
He's got to be careful with that because look at Oswaldo Cabrera. He's known for his power, too. How many points do you have to major level?
0.
Okay? Nothing. Now, I don't expect Peraza to come up here and hit 30 bombs either.
No, of course
not. Let the kid adapt. And again, now that Volpe has been promoted to AAA, he's taken Peraza. There is no way for Peraza to go back down.
No.
He's either staying up here or he's being traded.
Yep.
There's no other way to go. They don't go reverse order. They're not going to demote Volpe just to bring Peraza back down.
No, that's not how that works.
Yeah, exactly. So now they're fully committed to it now, right?
So
and I think letting the kids kind of find their way, and I think maybe they're thinking, okay, do we have another core 4 in the making here? Maybe. Some other guys, they have some really good looking prospects and a good deep pipeline, but can we use a couple of these guys to get some pitching in the offseason, right? I'm really curious to see what they do this offseason. I'm as excited as I am for Peraza and Cabrera and stuff like that. I still want to exercise caution.
Of course.
You know how it goes, man. I want to exercise common sense and perspective too.
Yep. Backstage, what's up, bud?
Backstage is in the house.
So, I have an interesting take on something, and this may be so outside the realm of sanity, which is fine. But let's say you have Peraza and Cabrera who continue to, produce and do what, and you lock them up. Now, let's say you re-sign Judge. What would you think about going after a guy like an Edwin Diaz and try and pry him from the Mets?
I would.
That bullpen because remember, he is a bona fide closer. He has closer experience. He has been in tested situations like, runners on second and third and whatnot. He has all that. And he's still young. He's got a couple years of control left after if you sign him to a nice deal. I mean, he could come expensive, but would it be worth it? Do I think it is? Yes. What do you think on that?
Yeah, I mean, he's a guy that I mentioned recently too that I would like to consider also prying away from the Mets. Now, that's not. I don't want him in place of a starting pitcher. I want both.
Oh, of course.
Or one way or another, and Edwin Diaz would be a nice addition too. Somebody proven that's showing he can handle New York. Sure. Again, and having another guy because again, the Yankees have $112 million coming off the books at the
Which
end
is
of the season.
insane.
$112 million. So, which is a lot of money. A lot of money. And after next year, probably another 50 or 60 million. Because you got Donaldson, the free agent, IKF, you got other guys that are going to be free agents. We don't know if Rizzo's opting out. We just don't know what's going to happen. But if you Brian Diaz, and I think it's going to be hard.
Yeah.
Because I think Uncle Steve is going to pay to keep him there. And,
Of course.
But I would definitely try to pry him away. He's a reliever that I'd have my eyes on too. And he's again battle tested. He can handle New York, and we know this. So
he's pitched beautifully in New York since coming over from the Mariners trade.
Yeah, he's been totally fine. He's been dominant this year. So he's a guy I would like to bring in too. And if you can somehow pry him away from the Mets, you do it. And so that's the way I look at it. So I like the perspective of Edwin Diaz.
Yes, I think that's a good idea. What's up, Angel?
What's happening, Angel?
So here's a move that is not the sexiest of moves, but it's a Brian Cashman move. So I don't know if he is a free agent or not, but just give me a second to look. I think it's a reliever I'm thinking of. Where are we here? So I know you said you wanted a starter, and I agree with that. And I still think we should. I still think we should make a run at Pablo Lopez.
So
100%. Because I think that would be the ideal candidate for the Yankees.
He's got another frontline guy. I don't think there's a chance in the world Alcantara is happening. So
No.
I'm not even visiting that house. So
Oh, no, I agree with that 100%. So here we go. So you've got Edwin Diaz. We already signed Tyler Duffy. He's a free agent after this year. But what would you think of signing a guy like a Brad Hand? He's a lefty pitcher. You don't have to make him a closer.
Mm-hmm.
Not the sexiest move, but you could use him as a middle relief to kind of take that load off of some of those guys like a Michael King when he comes back. So he's not being overstressed, or even a Scott Efros to kind of give him that counterpart to what we have already. That way, he could come cheap.
I would look at it as a way of Aroldis Chapman's a free agent at the end of the season.
Mm-hmm.
So I would place him on the left-handed side with somebody like Cam. I want to personally keep Wandy Peralta. I'd even keep Lucas Licky. Lucas Licky's good in low-leverage situations. He's got like a 2.6 ERA. Wandy Peralta's been good in high-leverage situations. Got a 2.5 ERA. He cleans up a lot of messes, Wandy Peralta.
He does.
And I want to keep him there. And adding somebody like him for middle relief shouldn't be a bad idea. And you get Efros back, and you get Trevino. You got some Michael King back at some point. Clay Holmes. We have a pretty formidable bullpen. So yeah, somebody I'd look at.
So Angel brought up a good point. I'll put that up on the screen. Possibly Torres will return to Pablo Lopez trade this offseason. I think it's possible. I mean, we were discussing that at the trade deadline that Torres was one of those pieces that was going to go back to Miami for Pablo Lopez. Do you still see that happening? Because that would be something I would very much so consider.
I think it's so. Yes, I can see it happening. One of the things that you probably noticed is that the Kim Eng, the GM of the Marlins, at 5:57 p.m., she asked for Oswald Peraza on top of Torres. 3 minutes gave Cashman 3 minutes to the deadline to decide. The Yankees pulled out. So there was another piece or another name or two involved as well. But when you ask for Peraza, and again, Lopez is a controllable pitcher, but he's not a number one.
No.
Right?
Maybe a number two, number three.
Yeah, and he'd be a number 2 or 3 here. So I get Torres and some other players. Torres and Peraza. I'm not sure about it. And you could just see how highly they regard Peraza here by not accepting that. Now, if it was somebody different, Luis Castillo, you got to give him up.
Yeah. I agree with that.
But I could see them revisiting Torres, Pablo Lopez swap with some other pieces in there this offseason. I could definitely see that. And again, we need another frontline pitcher.
I agree. I wonder Could they try to move Hicks and Donaldson this offseason? Because Brian Cashman has said that he's going to look to move both of them. Now, whether or not they can and what they get back for them are two different stories. I mean, you may get lucky, like with Joey Gallo, and get Clayton Beater back, who's now our number 10 prospect in our system.
Yeah.
But I doubt that'll happen.
I know he's going to try to move him. The only way I see it is part of either a bigger trade or if he attaches a top prospect to either one of them for a team. We want you to take this money, just like they did with Chase Headley. In order to get to Padres to take Chase Headley's $14 million, they had to add Brian Mitchell, who was a top 10 pitching prospect at the time.
Yeah.
So I can see that. They'll have to add a top 10 prospect for a team to assume either Hicks's deal, who's got 3 years and $30 million left, or $33 million, and Donaldson 1 year, $25 million. They might eat a little bit of the contract.
Yeah.
I think the only two ways I see them the easiest way is I see either one of them being moved. And they might take back an onerous contract too. We just don't know. Depends on who they move to. But I don't think the Yankees want to do that at this point. I think they would rather add a prospect.
Yeah.
And try to give up as much. They don't like eating money, as you know.
No.
So
they're stingy about that.
Yeah, I think they would rather add pieces to it for a team to absorb that money.
Yeah.
But I do expect them to go hard to try to move all three: Donaldson, Hicks, and Torres.
Because now you get them all off the books, and now that's more money that you can use to re-sign Judge and sign a couple of guys if you wanted to.
Yeah, and I think Torres, he's got 2 more controllable years too. He's young; he's only 25, if he's turned 25 yet. And his upside, I think, is bigger than either one of those other 2 guys.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
So, what concerns me now, you've mentioned this hundreds of times on your channel, on live streams, on just videos that you've made. The hate for IKF. I don't understand it. Defensively, his numbers are higher than Correa and Seager and Simeon.
Yep. His batting average is higher than most of those guys, too.
His batting average is too. And those guys are making $25 to $30 million north, and even north of that, and aren't producing half as much.
He's on arbitration still, and he's making pennies compared to what they make. So he's got another year of arbitration next year before he's a free agent. So, I mean, you know, we understand he's had trouble fielding routine ground balls. Okay, so obviously we acknowledge that. But on the flip side, he also has 12 defensive runs saved.
Yes, he does.
4th best in baseball, which means he makes really good acrobatic plays. And again, I said this even yesterday too. Is I'd rather have a guy like that put the ball in play, even if he hits 265.
Yeah.
Because the ball in play thing, if you have runners on base, you can move guys over. If you had a grounder, you move a guy from second to third versus second. It's contributing to the game, moving guys in a better position to score, right? Rather than guys with these wild swings to try to hit home runs and swinging stuff 5 feet out of the plate and looking foolish. So I got a guy that puts the ball in play on a regular basis. Like him, I don't care about the home runs thing. That's why we have Judge and Stanton and Rizzo. Like, I really don't. He wasn't brought here for home runs.
Those are your 3 towers.
Yeah, I mean, it's yeah. You know, and again, if he's a stopgap, he's a stopgap. Totally fine with that. But again, I don't see the point in people cherry pitching, and I've called this out. People cherry picking little pieces of analytics to attack the guy.
Oh, I agree.
And it's just,
what's up, David?
You know,
yeah,
it's foolish. He's how many? With the exception of the game the other day with Garrett Cole, I can't think of another instance where he might have cost the team a game. So when you compare it to these other guys, and again, I'd rather have him do that than somebody who's got a higher upside like Torres being lazy on a regular basis, right?
Of course.
So again, and he said, you know, when Didi Gregorius came here, he had the same defensive struggles. Jeter averaged almost 20 errors a year.
Yep.
All his career. So obviously he's a Hall of Fame player. There's other things with it, but he wasn't the most ideal.
He wasn't the best.
No, he didn't have the range some of these other guys had, but he played in the right position at the right time. But that said, I don't think IKF, when I look at the team's biggest problems, he's not the top.
No, he's not. He might be part of it, but he's not the top.
Exactly.
And Angel brought up a good point. I'll put that back up on the screen again. It was IKF is nice. He's a stopgap player, and people know this. People think IKF is Derek Jeter. Us fans have to take it easy. He's absolutely right. 100% agree with that.
Crazy comparisons are crazy comparisons. Like, it's just I don't take him seriously when people make these crazy comparisons. Like, while it's entertaining to listen to the Shohei Ohtani versus Babe Ruth,
No.
we're talking about Babe Ruth. So
Yeah. But
too much.
now I'm not an analytics person. I hate analytics. I think it plays too much into the game, and I think it's overrunning the game altogether. But the one stat that I think is not talked about a lot is BABIP, batted balls in play.
Mm-hmm.
And if you look at IKF's BABIP, he puts more balls in play compared to a guy like a Judge or a Stanton or a Rizzo or a Correa or a Donaldson. And he does more damage just by putting the ball in play more than them because of his speed. And his speed plays into that because he gets more scrappy infield hits and whatnot. So his BABIP plays more into his level of play than it would others.
What's crazy? My wife she comes in and out. The room's one notch. Every time she walks by a TV, she's like, "Is he on base again?" He's always on base to something, whether he's walking and getting a single. I don't care if it's singles, but she's always, this guy's always on base. What the hell's going on? And it's true. He's on base more often, and people like to bash his on base percentage and blah, blah, blah. But he's always putting himself in a position to score, driving guys. And again, even if it's a single or a double, he can have doubles all day and singles all day. I don't care.
Yeah.
I don't care. So, and I like the fact that he tries to make up for any defensive issue with a key hit or something like that. It reminds me of Rougned Odor. Odor hit like 210. How many times did he put the Yankees ahead or tie the game with a key hit or a key home run?
Multiple times.
Same exact thing.
Even a sac fly.
Yeah.
That's part of BABIP because he's putting that ball in play and he's doing something with it.
Yep. Exactly. And that's, to me, is significant. I know people love the flashy stuff, the home runs and this thing. I get it. That's totally fine. But it's the little things also that add up, that count, that matter.
Of course.
They do.
And it's also very important to remember that defensively, yes, he struggles. Everybody does. It's just part of baseball. That's how it's going to be.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely.
But I think you could really improve him if you put him at third, and I'll tell you why. It's I think it was a Gold Glove he won.
Yep.
He won it at third base. That would be the place I would try him out for a game. Let Peraza play short, let Cabrera play right, stand DH, whatever you want to do. But I would try him at third. And I would keep Benintendi at the top of the order.
I like him at the top, too.
I like him at the top because that's where he does his most damage. He's his most dangerous at the top of the order. And that's why I like him up there, especially in the number one hole. I'm okay with that. Even if you put DJ1 and LeMay and Benintendi 2, at least you keep him in that top half of the order so then that way he can do his damage.
Yep, most definitely. Most definitely. I've said this before too, and I don't know if you remember this, but like I like guys with speed at the top. So if it's IKF or Benintendi, whatnot, because if you're on first and the next batter hits a single, you're on third. The next batter hits a double, you're scoring if you have speed. If you don't have speed, somebody hits a home run, you're staying. Somebody hits a single, you're at second. Somebody hits a double, you're at third. So the chance of scoring increase a hell of a lot when you have speed at the top of the lineup.
Mm-hmm.
Whether you're walking or hitting a single, doesn't matter. You're on base, and then you can use your valuable weapon of the legs.
Yeah.
Manafleff and Benintendi are the two guys that represent that on this team. But now, I'm happy that we have Oswaldo Cabrera and Peraza because they're notorious for stealing bases. So hopefully the Yankees will use this skill set a little bit more often now. Of course, on the base paths, but we'll see what they do. I'm really curious to see what they do. Really. So
David Carter put out a point about IKF and then a question, which we'll pose to you in a second. I view IKF as a professional. He's composed, focused, and a grounded player. Granted, he's not a future Hall of Famer, and that's fine. Mm-hmm. But he is grounded. He is a professional player, and he is composed and he plays with heart, which is what this team needs.
It's true. It's true. He's a quietly productive guy, right?
Yeah.
And
Mm-hmm.
again, he owns up to mistakes. And we don't have many guys like that. The only guy like the fire-breathing dragon that I see on this team on a regular basis is Garrett Cole.
Yeah.
So he's he's the only guy. Reminds me of CC Sabathia. Reminds me of Paul O'Neill. Where they look at this scowl on his face, like if he's angry, he's angry. And again, he's the first one out of the dugout every single time there's an issue.
Mm-hmm.
You see Garrett Cole every time out, and for that reason alone, I would consider making him captain.
I agree.
And again, I know a lot of folks say Judge, and I get it, but I would pay Judge the elite money for being an elite player. But captain is a different type of breed. That's why CC Sabathia would have made captain because he has that fire. He stands up for his teammates. Cole does the same thing. To me, that's an important trait of being captain.
I agree, 100%. You are absolutely right.
Just as a precursor, the lineups just came out.
Okay.
There is no Peraza or Cabrera in it.
Really?
Neither one of them.
I don't understand that. I don't understand it.
I don't know, man.
So David asked a question in regards to the lineup. What do you guys think of Boone's pattern of switching the lineup so often? I am not a fan of it.
I'm not a fan of it either. I just wonder whether it's, and I don't think it's all him. I wonder how much
I agree.
Analytics or Brian Cashman breathing in his ear,
yep.
Right, and making him kind of do things a certain way. I don't like, again, like you've been attending. I think you should be at the top consistently, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then like Benintendi, DJ, Judge, 1, 2, 3. That consistent pattern in the lineup. You have to constantly change your approach. You're batting six one day, second the next day, then seventh and fourth. It's a different approach every time. And I think that's one of the things that the Yankees are lacking this year is a pattern of consistency with regards to their lineup. Now, what I'll say too, even when they were killing teams in the first half of the season, they still had a third of their lineup that was kind of almost an automatic out.
Yeah.
It kind of forces the manager to try to move guys around. Want some kind of production at the bottom we're not getting. So it unfortunately forces him to move guys around, which I'm hoping if Bader comes back and Carpenter comes back, and then with these young kids, he won't have to do it as much. But yeah, I'm not a fan of the rotating lineups.
Yeah, I'm not either.
But I think in some cases he has no choice.
Yeah, I can see that. So I have the lineup in front of me. So it's LeMahieu, Judge, Benintendi, Stanton, Donaldson, Trevino, Torres, Hicks, and IKF.
Yeah.
So a couple things about it. And with Herman pitching, I like that Benintendi is in the top half of the lineup.
Yeah.
I think he should be hitting second, though, not Judge. I don't understand why Donaldson is hitting fifth. The other thing I don't understand is why Aaron Hicks is back in the lineup. Aaron Hicks is a dead spot to me in the lineup.
I don't really know. I can't speak for when I'm guessing it's either a rest day or, he's going to give him a week just to kind of help him establish some kind of trade value. I have no idea.
And then
maybe this is a matchup.
This I agree with. Gleyber Torres hitting seventh. That's where he belongs.
Mm-hmm.
Because he, according to stats, he's hitting $161 since the All-Star break.
Yep. He is.
And
it's 2 month stretch, 2 month slump.
And Angel brought up a good point, and I'll bring that up here.
Yeah, it is. Stable lineup is definitely critical, man. A pattern of consistency is key.
Yeah,
it really, really is key. Angel's absolutely right, and having that ingredient in there is really, really key. And it's really, really important. And again, and the stability obviously in the bullpen and the rotation is key too.
Yeah.
And Hector actually brought up a good point a while back, and I really like this point because we were talking about postseason rosters and whatnot, and using guys like Herman and Clark Schmidt as potential pairing. As a way of neutralizing a stable lineup. So let's just say you're hitting against the Houston Astros, right? Playing against the Astros in the ALCS or whatever. pitching, Herman maybe 4 innings and then trying to go Clark Schmidt for 4 innings. That way, a team never gets to see either pitcher for a third time, because when a team sees a pitch for a third time, they tend to catch up, right?
Mm-hmm.
And this denies them the opportunity to do that. So, to me, I thought it was a really interesting approach. And again, going back to stable lineups and consistent lineup, it's a way for the Yankees to, at the very least, neutralize that. Now, speaking of the Yankees lineup, we can all agree that they have not had a stable lineup in a while. But that's also a point of guys like Stanton being out and Carpenter being out, and and we're not really seeing out. Yeah, we're not seeing 7-day injuries. We're seeing 6 weeks.
Yeah,
Stanton 6 weeks with Achilles tendonitis. 6 freaking weeks. So
that's a shame.
Yeah, some of these injuries are they're nuts, completely nuts. So we got to fix that up too. We definitely have to fix that up too.
He brought up a good point too, Hector. So, since the injuries have started, we have lost 11 pitchers.
Yep.
Michael King, Chad Green, Luis Severino, Nestor Cortez, Miguel Castro. That's just 5 of the guys that we've lost, which were integral pieces of this bullpen. So, moves that the Yankees have made, salute, Hector.
Brother man, what's up, my man?
The moves that have been made to try to fix this bullpen have not been the sexiest of moves, like you said, but they have been moves to try to build off of what they have.
Yeah. Sexy isn't always productive.
Nope.
And productive isn't always sexy.
Yep.
So, this is one of Cashman's strong suits too. He constantly brings in relievers all year long. And for some reason, the Yankees always have relievers go down, starters go down every year with injuries, right? It's like a thing with the Yankees.
Yes.
And he does a good job at that. Now, I wish he did a better job in player development, did a better job at starting pitching, developing starting pitching, because I think that's their weak point in terms of having depth. But with the relievers, guys like Efrost and Trevino, not the sexiest. I didn't even think of Efrost, but he's here until 2028. Okay,
controllable year
and productivity is gold. It's like gold. Okay, and some of these other guys that he just brought up recently, and just Luke Barr, and some of these other guys playing minimal roles, but again, it accumulates over time. It accumulates a lot over time. So he's doing a quietly efficient job in that regard with this team. And again, they're complementing the starters, and which and I said this too. I think long relief is important because it'll bridge the gap from the starters to the short relievers. So always having 2 or 3 long relief guys should be an absolute minimum for this Yankees. I don't know about other teams, but for this Yankee team.
Yes, agreed.
Right. So, but he's done a hell of a job at the bullpen.
But in counteracting to that, the starting rotation is also beat up.
Yeah, we're missing right now. 2 of the 5 guys are out.
That's why we need a number 3, another top of the line starter. It could be a number 3 starter, like a Pablo Lopez.
Yeah,
that would give you Cole, Montas, and Lopez, which would be a very formidable top 3 compared to most teams. Most teams have 1 or 2. Some teams have 3. Take a look at the Mets. That's a team that's got 3. You've got Taijuan Walker, who's been good for them. You've got Max Scherzer. You've got Jacob deGrom. Hell, you've even got Chris Bassett, who's been good for them. So that's 4 top-of-the-line starters right there that were not the sexiest of moves, but came out to be good moves for them. So you've got to really try. They need to build around. They need to find – the Yankees' problem is they get all these guys, but they don't have anyone to build it around.
Well, that's the thing, too. And this is why I think it goes back to farm and developing pitchers, because the Yankees are – always having to do what? Overpaying free agency or overpaying the trade market for starters. This is what they do, right? Because they haven't had any. I mean, they had a Ken Waldichuk. They traded him to the A's because they had to. Luis Medina traded him to the A's. Sears traded him to the A's. So the 3 guys that were probably the most closest to the major league level are all gone now. So really, really hoping that Montez pans out. this year.
I do too.
But
You don't want to wish.
no, but like we've said this before, they need to develop more starting pitchers on a regular basis. I mean, Tampa Bay is a pipeline for starters.
Yep.
Pipeline, okay? And some of these other teams too are pipelines for starting pitching. So if I'm the Yankees, I'm doing that too. I'm getting a lot more aggressive, whether it be international or collegiate, wherever it is. Just get some pitchers here and develop and give guys an opportunity to come up here rather than having to rotate through 650 different relievers. So, and when you get that, next starter, because we have Nestor Cortez too, and this is one of the things that I talked about that I feared was Nestor Cortez going way beyond his innings and then Severino getting hurt, and now both of those guys are hurt. So, and to me, I would love to have these guys in long relief. I know we got Clark Schmidt, and Clark Schmidt's starting, but it's got to be considered right now. As much as I'd like Nestor Cortez to be back here, I worry. So,
Absolutely.
I'm capping him at five innings.
Oh yeah, no, absolutely. I think that's what you have to do, especially with, the fact that he's had a groin injury, whether or not it is a phantom IL thing or not. You still want to be careful of that and mindful of that because he's already 20% over his innings limit.
Yep.
So just before we move on to the next topic, I put the link in the chat, so whoever wants to come join my co-host Jason and myself on the panel, you are more than welcome to. Feel free to do so. So the next thing that really is a concerning factor is the hate for Boone. Boone can only do so much.
Yeah.
Before it's out of his control.
Yeah. He's unfortunately
needs to step.
Yeah, he's unfortunately the fall guy for Cashman and Hal, right? He's got to absorb everything from everybody. He's got to absorb the fans. He's got to absorb those guys who refuse to speak to the media. He's got to absorb that too. He's got to explain everything. And I don't think he's ever going to be like, analytics maybe. He's not going to throw analytics people under the bus. He's not going to throw his own players under the bus. So he's going to constantly absorb all the hits. And he's not. They didn't bring him here to be a mouthpiece, spokesperson, right? He's not the greatest at that, but at the same time, he clearly knows baseball, right? And like I said, there is no guarantee that Joe Torre would be here right now and they would have 90 wins. There's no guarantee that Girardi or Joe Maddon would be here and the Yankees would have 90 wins. Zero guarantee. Okay, so I reserve judgment, and you've seen. I'll keep it. I criticize him when I feel it's justified. I give him credit when I feel it's justified. Mm-hmm. So, but he does get a lot of hate, him and IKF, and I don't feel the need to incessantly bash them both constantly. I just and just because we don't bash them doesn't mean we're on the bandwagon either.
Right. It just means that we're criticizing when criticism is due and giving credit where credit is due.
Yeah, that's all. Maintain some sort of perspective too, with games and everything else too. So it is important to me to kind of be level-headed about stuff. And every now and then we get fired up. That's cool. That's what we do as Yankee fans, Yankee content creators, right? We wear our emotions on our sleeves. And that's the way it is in Yankee world. This is not Milwaukee. This is not Boulder, Colorado. This is Bronx. This isn't Queens. This is the Bronx.
This is a much different atmosphere.
Yes.
Because of who we are as a team and what we've done.
It's a real environment. You know where you stand here immediately. And that's one of the things that people fear, but it's one of the things I also appreciate.
Right? Yeah. And that's the thing. It's, yes, Boone is the manager, but how much are you going to boo him and say that he's the problem and say that he's this and he's that and he's this and this and that and so on and so forth? You need to come up with your own perspective of it, per se. And that's the problem. It's with the Yankees and how they've been struggling, it's like, oh, we got to get rid of Boone. He's got to go. We got to get rid of Cashman. You know what the problem is? The thing is, if Cashman were gone, within the hour of him being fired, he'd be picked up by another team.
Like that. Yeah, and honestly, I mean, if fire Boone and fire Cashman are the only responses that some folks have, without giving any other reasons why or better options, and it's really hard to
take it seriously.
Or move the conversation forward, right? And that's the thing. Like,
No.
he was perfect? No, he's not perfect. Neither was Joe Madden. Neither was Joe Girardi. They got fired from their teams too. It happens. It's just baseball. It's a business.
Joe Torre.
Yeah, Joe Torre. Like, this is how it works, and it's and it comes with the territory in New York. Always comes with the territory.
There's always going to be that bar that no one can reach,
Yeah,
and someone's
exactly.
going to can for it.
So, there's always going to be some unsatisfied or unhappy fans.
Oh, of course.
And it's fine too. And that's totally
Yeah.
fine. Like,
Absolutely.
and if Cashman gets fired, yeah, look, the Yankees. Hector mentioned it too. Cashman, his Yankees, it'd have to be an internal replacement, not Theo Epstein. Exactly, Hector. First of all, I don't think the Yankees are going to allow somebody like Theo Epstein to come in, because if you're going to give him that type of title, he's going to want part of the team. Okay. Do I think Hal's going to give Theo Epstein part of the team? I doubt it. Do I think David Jeter part of the team? I'm not sure either. And
I doubt it.
But he's past replacement. I don't know who they're grooming in the system the way that they groomed Brian Cashman. Right?
Brian Cashman is, to your point, is the longest reigning general manager in all of sports. He has been there for the last
25
whole
years.
century.
Yeah. This is year 25.
This is year 25. And out of all those seasons, he's had 25 winning seasons, or whatever it's been since 92 when we had our last losing season.
Yep. 25 winning seasons. That's right. And I get what people don't want. They want to give Michael credit for the core four, and that's totally fine. But like I asked on my channel yesterday, would the core four have won all those championships without the people that Cashman brought in to complement him?
No.
And see how quickly he answered it? That's the thing. And I ask other people that. And that to me is the $1 million question. You have won it without Clemens and Brochus and David Justice and all the Duke, all the guys that they brought in, CC, Judge, drafting Judge, like, and that's the thing. This is all Cashman.
Yep.
Okay.
And Cashman has 4 rings as a GM: 98, 99, 2000, and 09. And he has 1 as an assistant general manager in 96 under Bob Watson.
Bob Watson. That's right.
And if you remember, before Brian Cashman even became the GM and he was under Bob Watson, what do you think groomed Brian Cashman to be the next GM? It was Bob Watson. Bob Watson had to teach him the in and outs of it. So, with that being said, it's great you want to give Gene Michael credit, and that's fine if that's what you want to do.
Yeah.
But you cannot sit there and say that Cashman has 1 ring, which I've heard on many of occasions.
Oh, I hear it all the time.
That's not even remotely true.
No. Right.
If you are a part of that team that wins the World Series, it doesn't matter if you're the head honcho or the lowest man on the totem pole. That person gets a ring.
Yeah, and he's weathered, George's type of Yankee team and Hal's type of Yankee team. He's learning how to be successful in both different types of tenures, different types of leaderships, whatever you want to call it, right? Yeah. And he's learned how to be successful and win in both environments. Now, this is a little bit more of looks like a more profit-driven one with Hal, which is, I get, okay, but they're still winning.
Yep.
And I understand the expectations for him to win the World Series every year.
Of course.
Really hard to do. Okay. So, and what we would like them to play better, sure. But also this losing streak that they've been on, to me, it sucks. We want them to come out of it, but it kind of adds to the mystique of a successful team if they happen to win a lot this year. I have to go pretty far. It's just going to add intrigue in this team. And honestly, I'd rather them suck right now than suck in October.
Yep.
And
Angel brought up a good point. Cashman, love him or hate him, he's the man. He gets the players, but he can't play for them. And he's right.
Neither can Boone, too. But Boone can't play for the team either.
Yeah.
They're not on the field. There's only so much you can do when these guys are supposed to do. And they're paid millions and millions and millions of dollars to do a job.
And they're not doing it. That's their...
It's okay to hold players accountable.
Yeah.
Right? That's what George said all the time. It's okay to hold them accountable.
And that's actually funny you mentioned that, because in that interview I did with Jim Leyritz yesterday, I think it was Hector who asked, or it might have been myself, but he went on and told the story that in '96, had he not hit that home run in Game 4 of the World Series, Steinbrenner had said, and they would have lost that World Series. Steinbrenner went up and said, "We are selling. I want Rivera, Pettit, Jeter, all of them gone."
No.
But I forgot who he said it was, but he said that there was someone in that front office who said, "Wait a minute, George,
I know it
just
was.
won the World Series."
Yeah. I know it talked George off the ledge.
Yeah.
How?
Yeah.
Surprisingly, Hal, his own son Hal, talked him off the ledge.
Yes.
Like, you cannot get rid of this core. You can't do it.
No.
So, but that's what I mean. George is a very impulsive guy, and I'm surprised that Hal was that logical back then.
Yeah.
He seems a little bit different now than that. He's in the owner chair. So,
Yeah.
and thankfully he talked him off the ledge. Thankfully, I mean, really.
Yeah.
We wouldn't be talking about the captain with Derek Jeter. We wouldn't be
No,
talking
we
about
wouldn't be.
we wouldn't be talking about any of that stuff. So,
And it's great, but it's great that he talked him off the ledge, but he is not his brother,
no.
Hank. Hank would have made like that in a heartbeat, would have dumped guys immediately. And I think as much as I loved having Hank as the higher owner of the team, he was like his father.
Yeah, and funny story, because I got to wrap up in a second too, because I got to go handle the girls, but Hank Cashman had a trade, an A-Rod trade, before he opted out, before Boris announced his opting out. He had a big trade set up with the Angels that included Jared Weaver and Sean Figgins and some other guys. Hank overruled him, and it led to the opt-out, and then Hank is the guy that signed him to the 10-year, $275 million deal.
Really?
Yep. Cashman had a blockbuster trade lined up for A-Rod, and he would have been gone, bringing a boatload of capital, but Hank overruled him and signed him to that big 10-year deal. So that's kind of the connection there as well. And I'm glad he got a ring here. He was a very integral part, but Cashman did, he had something lined up to move him out when everybody wanted him gone.
Yeah.
So
that's interesting. I didn't know that. That's nuts.
That's the fact of the day right there.
Yeah, that's something.
Yeah.
That is something.
Yeah.
But I know you got to run, Jason. Thank you for coming on. I appreciate it. As always, you are always welcome on to a live stream. I will always send you the link if you ever want to jump on. You are more than welcome to. Yankee Morning Brew is also welcome to. Just before you dip out, please, if you have not done so, follow 161 River Ave. That's Jason's channel. He has a fantastic channel, puts out content every day, always up to the date, up to the minute, up to the hour, up to the second. Great stuff. Also, him and Backstage Baseball have a podcast called Turning 2 Podcast. And from what Backstage has said today, that new episode of Turning 2 is coming out tomorrow. I'm not sure if it's on your channel or if it's on Backstage's channel.
It'll be on his, and we're actually going to make a Turning 2 Podcast channel itself.
Okay.
Last video we talked about some Yankees and Albert Pujols. Tomorrow's video is actually going to be a postseason draft.
Awesome.
We did a draft from season teams. So
awesome.
It's pretty cool. So I think you guys will enjoy it.
You can also follow Jason and Backstage on Twitter. Follow both of them. They do great content. They have everything that you need to know, as well as myself and the Yankees Morning Brew. You can follow Turning 2 on podcasts on Twitter, correct, Jason?
Yes, sir.
Okay, so you make sure to do that. Like their stuff. Hit that bell icon. Don't want any of you guys to miss any of my stuff or Jason's stuff or Backstage stuff. Jason, as always, thank you so much for coming on. It is a pleasure. You are more than welcome on anytime.
I'm going to have you and Hector on in the next couple of days. Well, I'll get you both on next week if you're available.
Yeah, definitely. We'll figure out a day to do something like that. Absolutely.
All right. Sounds good, brother. I'll talk to you guys soon, man. Be well.
All right, Jason. I'll see you tonight.
Later, brother.
Later. So that was some very cool stuff that Jason brought up, and some actually very good points Jason brought up. So if you guys want, I had put the link in the chat. If you guys want to come join me on the panel, we can do that. Talk a little bit of baseball. It was definitely something that needed to be brought up. Some of these issues. Sunday, I will be going live again. I have a special guest with me. Hopefully, he's able to do it. It's going to be Jigaman Porto of Knights of Daejeon. He is the, I guess it's he does all the sound effects and all the graphics for Yankees Morning Brew and all the channels over there. He is a fantastic person. He's awesome. He's been on Yankees Morning Brew with Hector. Do remember to follow their channels and like their channels and subscribe to them if you like that kind of content. It is very great. They're very grateful for it, and it's very helpful for their channels. As for myself, the 4 Train Express, I'm a new channel, just trying to get up and started. I don't know who was here, but yesterday, Yankees Morning Brew Hector and myself did a interview with former Yankees catcher Jim Leyritz that is also on my channel. You can go to my channel and get the video. If not, you can Hector might have it. I'll send it to him, and he can spread it out to you guys. But backstage, we did mention that your podcast is coming on tomorrow with Jason. So be sure to like, subscribe, hit that bell icon. I don't want you guys to miss anything I put out, Jason puts out, Hector puts out, or Halal Backstage Baseball puts out. Another great channel who does a lot of cool stuff. The BX Jedi Sports Network. That's Kevin's channel. Please follow him. He does watch-alongs. They're awesome, and they're a lot of fun to do. So please hit that bell icon, subscribe, hit that like button for him as well. Show them awesome love. Dave helped me get my channel up and started, so be sure to do that. I'm going to wrap up, but I just want to thank everyone for coming out. You guys are awesome, and I will see you guys next time. And thank you guys again so much. I will be going live again on Sunday, same time, 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, and I will see you guys then. Until then, over and out. Have a good one.